let's do a page. I'm so excited to be filming my first long form YouTube video. If you've never seen my content before, I post primarily on TikTok, which is linked in my YouTube profile, but I really wanted to bring you guys some longer videos, so I'm over here as well now. I'm going to be colouring a page in the Bobby Goods Day to Night book today. Because this is my first video on YouTube, I thought it was only right to do a campfire. I'm planning on doing this in a very similar style to the campfire page that I did on TikTok, and I'm going to go into detail on how I did all of my little techniques. Let's just get into it. As you may know, Bobby Goods is kind of known for having much thicker paper, but I still put cardstock behind because, especially if you're doing layers of colour and things like that, it will bleed through very slightly sometimes, and I'm just not going to take that risk, so keep that in mind. Okay, so starting with sunflower, I'm just going to do my fire glow on all the characters and everything that I want to be affected by the light. I'm gonna add the same fire glow to the tree. Okay, so for the animals and things directly in front of the fire, I'm gonna just go up behind the sunflower with orange. Okay, I'm using lemon chiffon for these lights, and then I'm going to go into the sky. I'm gonna go around them with a summer lemon glow. A good tip to remember when you're doing a glow is the center where the actual light is coming from, like the center of the fire, the center of the lights, should be the lightest shade. Okay, now for the sky. These are all the colours that I'm going to use for the sky, but I will talk you through it the best I possibly can. My lighter shades that I'll start off with are Blue Grey 5 and Turquoise Green Light. Then my mid-range colours are Peacock Green, Turquoise Green, Indian Blue and Napoleon Blue. And then I'll be using Blue Grey 9 and Cool Grey 8, and then I'm going to also use my colourless blender a little bit, but let's just get into it. So the only thing I'm going to do a little bit differently for the sky is I'm going to outline the glow that I've done for the lights. Obviously in my TikTok videos on this there were no lights in the sky, so I'm just outlining these with Napoleon Blue. Starting with Blue Grey 5, I'm just going to start doing some random, I don't even know what you call these, just like squiggles. You don't want to do too many of these because you want the turquoises and stuff to show through, so you need to leave space for them. Now Turquoise Green Light, I'm just doing the same thing. You can do it kind of up against another colour, you can do it in its own little area. It is whatever you want. I think these areas are also sky. Yeah. And now a good tip is when you're doing the turquoisey parts, go outside the lighter parts with darker shades of turquoise, because that'll give you the effect of like the lighter kind of galaxy style parts a little bit better than if you mixed it with dark blues and greys only. But you can also have these on their own as well. That was turquoise green, and now this is peacock green. This is Indian blue. The more random you can make it, the better. Just trust the process. Did I say this is Indian blue? Well, it's Indian blue. I probably already told you. This is Napoleon blue. I'm kind of just going to go right around this area. This is blue-green 9. I'm now going to go in with Cool Grey 8. I've added a little bit of blue-green 9 already, but I'm going to be adding it into literally just the rest of the areas I haven't filled in yet. I like to have darker bits around the moon. I just think it gives it a better effect because it stays white. Okay, so for the second layer, starting with our darker colours, start doing little circles. You don't have to go over the whole area, but you kind of want to start blending it to look like clouds. So you start with the darker ones, start blending them into the other ones, and then you kind of overlap the colours as well at the edges, but not too much because you kind of want to keep the pigment on its own. Just going on to the fence, but no worries. I hate doing that, but you can always fix it. So. So I'm just going to use my lightest shade, which is turquoise green light, and I'm just going to go over the outside of these areas, but you want to leave the inside as light as possible. Okay, now I'm going to use my colourless blender just to start really merging the colours together, and if I need to I can just go back over with my pigment colours again. Okay, I'm gonna do my stars now, and on the areas that you think could look a little bit unblended, just do more dots. Okay, I'm gonna use yellow green, bud green and deep olive green for the grass. And to start with, I'm just gonna shade it all in, and then I'll go over with grass strokes and things like that. So my darkest colour is deep olive green, and I'm gonna start going into these shadows. I'm just mapping out where I want my shadows to be, and I can always make them darker with my brush strokes with darker shades, but I want to kind of start with a mid to dark tone so that I have room for error. I think this area should be dark, but I want right behind him to be darker, so down here would be darker, here. Now I'm using bud green. So I'm going to use bud green for everywhere except directly around the fire. So I'm going to leave an area white because that area will be lighter because of the fire glow. And this is yellow green. I'm not worrying about the blending because I'm going to go over it, so. So for the strokes, for the areas directly in front of the fire, there won't be many grass strokes, simply because I don't want there to be. So I'm using bud green again, and I'm just going round the kind of perimeter where they start to merge, the two colours. And then I'll just add some kind of sporadic random ones. And now I'm following that with absinthe. And now I'm going to start going with the absinthe into the bud green. And I'll go over that with a darker shade that I haven't decided on yet. Now I have deep green and emerald green for the darker areas. I'm just going to blend some deep olive green into some of the bits that I think should be a little bit darker, but not the darkest. I've got bronze green and I'm just going over the darkest parts first of this tree and this tree. I will come back to the bronze green, but my idea for these is to start with yellow green up the side where I've put my glow, and then go into absinthe. And then back with the bronze green. And the key for this is to get a good blend, you want to go back in with your lighter colours. I usually go up to halfway across the second colour, if that makes sense. So like, I used yellow green over the yellow green and then into the absinthe, and now I'm using absinthe to go up here, and then petit pois after, like that. And you can go in just for the kind of boundary line between sunflower and lemon green. Okay, I'll do it again. I don't think I'm ever going to be someone who just uploads my entire colouring page, because I wouldn't be able to watch that. Like, I love watching people colour, but I like when there's still a little bit of editing and like cutting through the very, very repetitive bits. So I'm sure this will still be a very long video, but I don't see any point in doing this that many times, because if you're colouring along with me, then I get it. But you could pause and then we could go into the next part, but I don't know. I just don't want any of my videos to be too monotonous or anything. Okay, that's the top of the trees done. I'm gonna use the same colours for the bushes, so I'm just gonna use bronze green, which is my darkest shade, behind the characters, because it'll be darker back here. I might do multiple layers of this as well. I'm gonna do yellow green, into absinthe. You sense a theme here. This is petit pois. Okay, now for the tree. I'm going to start with rose beige, and I'm going to just go down right beside the glow. I also like to go right beside the kind of creases in the tree. There's a better word for that I can't think of right now, so that probably sounds weird. But now I'm going with potato brown. and this is raw umber. And now I use rose beige again, and I just go on that little line in between to soften it. But if you're doing it like me, then don't worry too much about your blending on the tree, because we're going to go over it with some kind of wood effect in a minute. I really want the fence to be dark red. I've tried to think of another colour, but I want it to be dark red. I've got so much blue and green going on, I think it could look really cool. So we're going to use rose red just to go right up against my highlight. And then old red for the rest of it. And then I'm going to just use a very dark brown for that shadow that I've created. Again, just to get the seamless blend, you can go back over a little kind of borderline with your lighter colour. Okay, I've just dropped, oh god, I've just dropped a red onto that, but I have an idea for fixing it. I'm gonna put some flowers on the bushes. Okay, I'm very carefully using pastel yellow to soften the lines. And now I've got chestnut brown, and I'm gonna go over my shadow. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit with old red. I don't like the undertone of that. I want it to kind of be a bit more cohesive with the fence. Okay, for details I'm going to use warm green 9, and I'm going to just do my usual random squiggles. The best way to do this is to kind of have circles as well as lines. I think I might use this colour for the outer fence posts, but it might be too dark when I come towards the middle, so I might switch back to chestnut brown. Now I'm going to do pretty much the same for the tree. I like to use black on the darkest areas, and then I use one of my Bic detail pens, which is linked in my bio. I would tell you what it is, but I cannot remember what brand, like what not what brand, what range it is, so just have a look if you're interested. I'm going to use shade 657 from my grabby marker set for a couple of flowers down here to cover up that smudge. If you're interested in these markers, I have a discount code which is Marry Annie. And this is 644. Time for the fire. So As I said, you want to start with your lightest shade in the middle. So this is Lemon Chiffon. Then I'm going to go into Summer Lemon. And for the fire, I like to actually blend the colours together as I do it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave a tiny bit around the outside for my next shade, but I kind of trace it into the colour because you want this to be blended really nicely. And now I'm going back over with Lemon Chiffon. Now starting this next bit with Sunflower, and again, once I'm happy with the level of pigment I've put down, I go back to Summer Lemon. So that's the centre bit. Now I'm going to start with Summer Lemon. No. Now I'm going to start with Sunflower on the next layer. Actually, I might bring that out a little bit more, like that. And yeah, follow the pattern of the fire as well. You don't want to just have like circular blending until you get towards the ends. You kind of want it to all be the same shape. I actually just used lemon yellow for that, but that's fine. Now we can use chrome orange. I'm sorry, I feel like this is quite chaotic, but I'm at least trying to explain it, okay? This is chrome orange. And back into lemon yellow. Circles can help when you're blending lines, I would say. It seems to do a better job of making the lines kind of fade out. And then my darkest colour is cadmium orange, which I really like to use around the outside of the fire. And again, I'll blend that into chrome orange. See? Cute! And now, for the little mini bits coming off, I'm just going to go with the lighter shades again because I see them as little mini fires. So I'm just going to do Lemon Chiffon and then I'm going to go straight into Sunflower. And then a little bit of chrome orange at the top. That was cadmium orange. And then I'll just blend those in with Sunflower and then go another layer of Lemon Chiffon. There we go. I've got mahogany for the outside of the wood, and then for the side part where there's a little bit more light, I'm going to use terracotta. I have no idea what happened to my voice there. I'm just filling out the little bits around the side with potato brown. And now I can't decide if I want to use like brown colours or grey colours for this, but I'll probably use greys. It makes more sense for it to be grey, unfortunately. I'm going to use Warm Grey 3 and Warm Grey 4. So I'm just gonna use warm grey 3 for the whole thing at the moment, and then I'm gonna fill in my darker areas with warm grey 4. One thing I have noticed about the Bobbie Goods paper is that on other paper I can use the same shade in multiple layers and it will give it like a dark enough shadow effect, but I tend to use a darker shade on the Bobbie Goods books, which isn't a problem, it's just an observation, because it kind of blends in more. Here is the girlie that is on every page, so I've been doing her in Yellow Dahlia, so I'm just going to continue that. I'm going to go back to the stones. This is Warm Grey 4. I'm going to use light mahogany for this little doggy, and he's going to have a patch on his eye that's white. I'm doing this in a little bit of a random order, but this is Cool Grey 5, because in all the other pages I've done in this book, I've had her cat be a warm grey, but that's a warm grey, so today she's a cool grey. I'm gonna have rose beige for the cat because I want to give her tabby cat stripes. I love how this doesn't make sense because this cat is gigantic and this cat is tiny. I love it. I want this one to be a light pink, so this is Antique Fuchsia. I will be adding details and shadows to them. I just want to get the base colours down. And finally for this little guy, I'm going to use Caribbean Cocoa. I'm going to use Vermilion for the parts of the chairs that aren't in the shade. And this is Geranium for the darker part. It would not be one of my videos if I didn't forget something, and this time it's the cat's legs. As you can see, some of the pen from that I have smudged with my hand onto this, so I'm going to use a dark enough shade for his jumper to cover that up. This is Brilliant Blue. And I'm going to use Sky Blue for the details, and I think for his boots as well. We're gonna make this girl a very pink girly, so this is rose pink for her blanket. I think I'll add some kind of pattern to this in a minute. This is light violet for her boots. I'm gonna make this one's boots ocean green, and I want him to have a stripy hat. That is all I know. I'm gonna start putting some stripes on his hat. This is glass green. This is yellow green. And I'm going to use the yellowish green for the blanket as well. This is pastel violet. I'm going to use viola for her blanket. This is clematis. I'm going to use brown grey for her guitar. This is dull yellow. I'm gonna make this box quite funky, so I'm gonna start with vermilion. And then brilliant blue. And sunflower. I'm also going to use warm grey 3 for the bases of the chairs. And I presume that this is a phone, so I'm just going to use it for that as well. I'm using pigeon blue for this bag, because I just don't want to use more grey. I thought about making it see-through, but I think we've already got quite a lot going on. Okay, I'm going to use pink for some of the marshmallows, and I'll just shade the rest with a light grey to make them white. Pink used to be one of my least favourite shades, like just plain pink, but it's really grown on me and I think it's a really gorgeous colour now. Okay, I'm going to start adding some shadows and depth to the characters. So for the antique fuchsia dog, I'm going to give her some currant shadows. I think I'll use mahogany for some stripes on the cat. And I'll I'll use terracotta for her shadows. I'm using dark yellow for her shadows. The shadows for this one will be mahogany. I'm going to use mint green light for this cup that I forgot about. This is pond green for the shadows for this blanket. This is light lavender. This is apricot pink. I want to give his little eye patch a little bit of colour instead of just leaving it white, so this is cream. No, it's deep cream. I'm just going to darken this side of the box a little bit. And now I'm going to go in and add my shadows. I don't think they need any patterns. I quite like them the way they are. So this is Coco 5, but I might have to darken it a little bit. Yeah. Let's try Coco 7. I like that better. Doesn't need to be too crazy, I just want a little bit of dimension. I also want to give them all a little blush. Sorry, I've got a pen in my mouth right now. Okay, I'm going to start adding some highlights, but I really don't want to do much. So I'm giving them all freckles. And now I'm just going to go around the page, doing the bits that really jump out to me, but not much else. I don't know what this line is, but it's there now, so oh well. I actually think that's all I'm gonna do. So here is my final page. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It took me about 3 hours to do. Thank you so much if you've got to this point in the video. If you haven't already, I would love if you would consider subscribing, and also check out my TikTok if you haven't already. I post on that almost every day. I'm planning to have a video like this out once a week to start with, but if it's more manageable then I'll start doing a little bit more frequent videos, but I will be releasing shorts as well. If you have any page requests from the Day to Night book or any of the other books that I have that you've seen on my TikTok, then please let me know. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon.